lines.
But did you undose me?
No. No,
Did
that's
you
why
leave the door open so Rashad could come in?
No, sir.
He never really called Vivian James by her name. He kept referring to her as the lady. This is a mentor. This is someone who he was in telephone contact with, who would give him rides. And he's not saying her name. It just felt suspicious.
And you meet back up after visiting her and buy a car from the same person you were just visiting, who's now murdered. You see how up that's
It's very up, man. It's extremely up, and you know it too.
you know the kind of lady she is, and she's most likely not hanging out with somebody like Rashad. After listening to your story and your timeline, I don't see how you couldn't have done it.
Right. Yeah.
And when he was booked in jail, that's really when the investigation into Vivian James' murder.
Perkins is held on charges of dealing in stolen property, and meanwhile, authorities shift their focus to Rashard Simmons. The problem is, finding him, not so easy. Days later, the following Wednesday, they finally locate him and bring him in.
Last Thursday, did you see Zebulon? Did you hang out in a hotel with him?
Yeah, I've been to the hotel. This last week, I had seen him and just to get off some TV. So that's what I was trying to do, help him get off TV.
All right, when you say you wanted to get off some TVs,
Yeah.
did you ever say where you got those TVs from?
No, he never said.
With Zebulon Perkins, when you rewatch the interview, you can almost see his wheels turning on. He is analyzing what Detective Abbott is asking him about. Rashard Simmons, when interviewed, is a very different character.
As long as you've known Zed, what kind of mentality or personality does he have? Does he come off to you as?
Like,
Is he the type of person that do some stuff, or?
no, he don't come on to you cool, like, you cool.
What kind of drugs have you been on?
Man, I don't know. That's me, I think everything. He was doing some ice.
At the hotel?
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
Investigators learned that Perkins struggled with drugs in the past and had these prior low-level offenses.
Zeb say where you got that car from?
No, I never seen that car.
You ever seen this house before? Or been in that house before? Been inside that house?
No.
You said you were at Westside Pool Hall and he told you to meet you over there at Indian Lakes. But can you look and see what time he called you?
He gives a completely different statement than Zebulon Perkins. We find text messages between Perkins and Simmons coordinating Perkins picking up Simmons in a vehicle. And the time of those text messages, Zebulon Perkins was leaving Vivian James's home in her car.
This lady's a teacher, bro,
I know.
on TV. She seemed cool with him.
She is cool. She is cool. She's very nice.
Why would he want to do that, though? To a lady. And
What I want to know is, why does he want to blame you for that?
He's saying you killed her.
He said, on the 26th, I met Rashad
For
and
his
bought
car.
that car from him, and that he never saw you again after that. But the car was full of all kinds of property.
I saw him call a lot of property.
That's what
That's
he
what he
said.
said. He said you sold him this car.
He sounded like he was on it, whatever he was on.
So what we're gonna need from you is your DNA, right? To prove that you were never in that house. To prove that you.
Also gives us access to his cell phone, which we are able to download, and gives us cell site location, which places Rashard Simmons on the other side of 103rd, the main street near Vivian James's house, at the time of her murder. Most homicides are committed by somebody who knows the person. An old detective friend of mine used to, whenever there was something particularly brutal, he said, "No, this was personal. Like, if it's somebody you don't know, you just kill them and move on." But when there's this level of anger or rage directed at the person, that's generally not somebody that you just have neutral feelings for.
It is becoming increasingly clear with Vivian James' killing, which means that the pendulum is swinging right back to Zebulon Perkins as the prime suspect.
Make you cry. Witches are born on the same date.
We know exactly when witches are born. After being booked into the Duval County Jail, he made a phone call to his mother, where he asked his mother to hide electronics that he had stored in the family's garage. His mother and stepfather were cooperative, and we were able to gather the electronics that were missing from Miss James's home. Once we got Vivian James's bank records, December 26th, the date that we believe Vivian James was murdered, her credit card was used around Jacksonville multiple times. It was used to buy food, it was used to buy baby diapers, and it was used to buy alcohol. And so we were able to go to those three businesses and pull video surveillance from them, which showed Zebulon Perkins. We also find there was a Cash App transfer from Vivian's phone to an account in the name of Zebulon Perkins. We also executed a number of search warrants.
The piece of evidence that we got to really push this case over the top, make us feel very confident that Zebulon Perkins had killed Vivian James, was DNA. We found his hands in combination with his DNA, and we also found his DNA under her fingernails.
We don't have to talk, I'm not gonna ask you anything. I do need to bring you over and tell you we are charging you with murder.
Why can I leave now? I got charged with something. Why can I leave now? We're gonna finish our report, and, why can I leave now? Because they're being arrested for murder.
No, I'm not. I didn't even find the dude that gave me the car.
January 10th, 2020, just 2 weeks after Vivian James was killed, detectives have enough to officially charge Zebulon Perkins with second-degree murder.
Now, see the sarge, please.
All right, Zeb, let's go, Ted. Let's look back, man.
I want to go back, but y'all taking my life from me, bro. I got kids, bro. I'm not doing this.
Detective Abbott kept tabs on him. Detective Abbott would go back and look at disciplinary reports from when Zebulon Perkins would get into fights with other inmates. When Detective Abbott went to the Duval County Jail and started interviewing cellmates, bunkmates, almost every single one of them talked about how violent and how scary this man was.
But it was one inmate statement that really stood out.
So first you talked to me about the first incident with a female named Chris. You told me she died.
Shit.
So a lot of people think that the detective's job stops as soon as the arrest is made, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. Detective Abbott continued to keep track of Mr. Perkins' activity within the jail, meaning any altercations or disputes that he had. We actually went together when we were partners, went over and spoke with this inmate who told us that Mr. Perkins continually talked about how you guys know that the teacher is not the first person he killed, right?
And something else clicks for investigators. Their attention shifts back to a second vehicle that was seized and searched the day that Vivian James was killed. This is a car that was never picked up from police custody.
During the investigation, we executed search warrants on two vehicles. The Toyota Camry that belonged to Miss James and a Corvette that was at the Hospitality Inn that witnesses had seen Mr. Perkins going back and forth to the car, to the hotel room. We were wondering whether there was additional evidence in the Corvette. So we seized both of those vehicles.
Zebulon Perkins had been in jail for approximately 18 months since he had been charged with Miss James's murder. And as soon as we get the allegation that he is responsible for another homicide, we knew there was potentially another victim. Detectives immediately went back and looked, and the registered owner of the 1989 Corvette that was taken in the case was Leah Klein. Well, all efforts to locate locate Miss Klein during multiple times. So we knew that this is a person who might not be the most friendly with police.
Leah Klein had a troubled past. She was a mother of 5. She was, when connected with her family, devoted to them. She also had a fascination for Jiminy Cricket. It became her nickname. Leah Klein's daughter would try to send her mother money throughout the year on a cash app and leave notes like, "Happy birthday, Mom," "Merry Christmas, Mom." But she hadn't seen her mother in many years.
And while we were speaking with her family, we learned that she would kind of go off on her own and be by herself for a couple weeks at a time. So it was not uncommon for her to go relatively short periods of time without contact. However, 18 months was very long, and that was out of the norm. One of her family members did attempt to report her missing, but they were out of state, and they were told that they needed someone who was local to actually report her missing.
There were multiple inmates who were interviewed by Detective Abbott in the course of his investigation into Leah Klein's murder. Some of them were cooperative with him, and some were not. 2 that were cooperative were Mr. Lindsay and Mr. Bradford.
Alibaba.com. Unlock up to 20% off across 8 million plus trending products.
If you're in Canada and have over $10,000 in debt, payday loans, credit cards, and lines of...
And Mr. Bradford.
How do you know who Zebulon Perkins is?
She was my roommate in jail.
Did he talk about the charges pending against him?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you about the teacher?
He strangulated her and beat her up.
When you were in the cell with him, were you ever scared of him?
Not really, but yes.
Mr. Lindsay's statement stood out to me. He described being in fear of his life when he shared a bunk with Zebulon Perkins, to the point of describing his eyes like a dead stare, that he would not sleep at night. Would murder him in his sleep.
Back in January, probably January of 2021-ish, Kinsey Lindsay actually had his brother was murdered at a local apartment complex. So Detective Abbott and I were working that case. Ultimately, that case resulted in an arrest. We went and we told Kinsey Lindsay about that arrest. When we later went back to him, talked to him about being housed with Zebulon Perkins, he basically told us, "Yeah, I wouldn't normally tell you guys this, but since you helped me out with my brother, I will help you out with this case."
Did he mention any other murders?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you about other murders?
He said he was a pimp and his girl played his children.
Did he mention any names to you about this lady?
Yes, ma'am.
One does not begin with a very violent homicide of a
Oh,
person
Cricket dead.
all accounts very much had affection for. It doesn't add up. So usually there's some kind of other criminal activity that's in somebody's life, and in this case there obviously was.
I got into a physical altercation with Zebulon Perkins.
Would that have been around September 12th of 2020? Sound about right?
Yeah.
What did he talk to you about?
So first he talked to me about this first incident with a female named Cricket. She could be like a prostitute or something like that. She did something wrong in his eyes, so like he ended up choking her.
Did he tell you that she died?
Yeah, he told me she died. He put her body in the dumpster, like right outside the hotel.
You can't prosecute the devil and expect to have angels as witnesses. It is amazing how many people will just tell their cellmate, "Here's what I did."
Mr. Bradford
Cigarette,
further
blunt,
explained
rum.
that Mr. Perkins kept talking about how he killed the teacher, why he killed the teacher. He also provided the background information that Mr. Perkins told him he went to Miss James's home to confide in her that he had killed Cricket. Not only did he investigate, but it also gave us motive for Miss James.
Was the teacher, so he gonna tell her about the He strangled her the same way.
Unfortunately, we were never able to find Miss Klein's body. we essentially moved forward in trying to prove a void of life. We went down every avenue that we could think of, and it appeared as though...
Oh, you guys deserve the fucking shit, bro.
December 24th, 2019.
This is just days before Vivian James was last seen as well. So did Perkins kill Leah Klein, go to Vivian James' house, try to get advice, and when she didn't tell him what he wanted to hear, did he kill her too?
Incredibly difficult thing to do. And in this case, so much time had passed since the murder of Leah Klein. Detective Abbott had to go back multiple years to establish the outline of a person who had been missing from society. We were also able to reevaluate the evidence we already had with Leah Klein in mind. We had the download from his cell phone and found photographs of Leah Klein in December of 2019, and the last time Leah Klein is known to have sent any message is a message from her to Zebulon Perkins that she is outside his hotel room.
Then it kind of came full circle where we realized this is why we could not contact her during the initial investigation, because she was already dead. But we were able to confirm that after Mr. Perkins killed Miss Klein, he put her in a dumpster, and then we were able to confirm with the dumpster company the date and time that dumpster was collected, which was before Miss James was murdered and before detectives were at the Hospitality Inn and she was taken out to a landfill. The likelihood of any recovery was basically nil.
Zebulon Perkins is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, although prosecutors keep the path open if they want to upgrade those charges.
From early on, he started making plea offers. These plea offers started well below the sentencing range for second-degree murder, but quickly those offers started getting higher. Presented to the grand jury and filed the notice of intent to seek the death penalty. Let's talk about something that most people don't know.
Wow.
So do you see this roll right here? And filed the notice of intent to seek the death penalty. In Florida, we are not allowed to file charges of first-degree murder without presenting to a grand jury. I presented the case of Vivian James's murder to the grand jury, and they indicted Zebulon Perkins on first-degree murder. We concluded the investigation into Leah Klein's case, and we actually had to go back before the grand jury, and they indicted Zebulon Perkins of 2 counts of first-degree murder.
Nearly 4.5 years after Vivian James and Leah Klein were killed, Zebulon Perkins is set to go to trial on 2 separate counts of first-degree murder, and if convicted, faces the possibility of the death penalty. But his defense team already seems to have a plan to try to avoid those consequences.
In Florida, if you're convicted of murder 1, you can be sentenced up to life in prison. And in Florida, there's no parole. Life is life. You come out in a box. The best scenario for somebody who has this kind of evidence with the forensic evidence that was available in this case is probably to plead to a term of years. In this case, there ended up being a plea. Defense counsel came with a significant of 70 years. And at this point in time, Zebulon Perkins is 31 years old. Even with credit time, that is, in essence, a life sentence. Zebulon Perkins did speak at the sentencing hearing. Of note, he did not apologize. It was a rambling statement that, at the time and to this day, does not make much sense to me. Never sat right with me because there was a lack of remorse. He accepted the plea negotiations, and I'm thankful for the families that we were able to bring this case to a close.
Zebulon Perkins is sentenced to 70 years in prison without the possibility of parole for the murders of Vivian James and Leah Klein.
The one thing that really sticks to us is the brutality of Miss James's death, and how sometimes it can be the people who are closest with us who can hurt us the most. To find this record of him being in a fight with Mr. Bradford, that would have been very easy to just overlook, but following that up, really, it opened a whole other case where we were able to bring another family justice.
Looking back on this case and the last 6 years, there are a few things that stand out to me. The first is the investigative efforts of Detective Abbott, whose dogged persistence of facts and details in this case solved the murder of a woman who had been missing and brought finality to her family. Otherwise, without his persistence, no one would know Leah Klein's story. The other thing, sadly, that stands out to me is the importance of human connection in reaching out to loved ones and staying in contact. And also of making sure that you trust those who are around you.